I took care of my family for years, but when I got sick they threw me out like trash. They all lived under my roof, ate from my hands and called me their rock, until I got sick. Then they said I was a burden and dumped me like I never mattered. I was the eldest daughter, the dependable one, the strong one, the one who didn't have the luxury of falling apart. When our parents died suddenly in that accident, the world didn't pause for me to grieve. I was barely 20, but I became the mother, the provider, the anchor, all in one breath. I worked 2 jobs while finishing school, burning through nights and caffeine just to keep the lights on and food on the table. Some mornings I went hungry so my siblings wouldn't have to. Some nights I fell asleep on the kitchen floor doing laundry because there was no time to rest. I gave up college when my acceptance letter came the same week my sister broke down in tears over her custody battle. I gave up love when the man I was seeing told me, "You're always busy with your family, what about us?" I gave up everything. For them. And for a while, I didn't mind. Because family, at least back then, meant everything to me. It was all I had left. And I believed, foolishly, that love and loyalty would return to me one day, even if it wasn't right away. I paid my brother's tuition, not just for 1 semester but all 4 years. I never missed a payment. I even skipped my own medication once just to make his rent. I helped my sister through her divorce, stayed up with her every night, made her court appointments and babysat her son while she screamed into pillows. And when my uncle called in tears, saying his family had been evicted, I cleared out my guest room without hesitation. 5 extra bodies in my house. 1 bathroom. Groceries gone within days. But I smiled and said, "We'll make it work." At one point I was feeding 6 mouths on my salary alone. Cooking, cleaning, carrying them, every single one, on a back that was already breaking. And still no one ever stopped to ask, "How are you doing?" Not once. They saw my strength as infinite, my sacrifices as expected, my exhaustion as background noise. And somewhere between giving them everything and receiving nothing, a slow, quiet kind of betrayal began to grow. The kind that doesn't scream in your face, but leaves you invisible in the house you built. Then one day everything changed. It was a Tuesday, just another shift at the diner, same tired smile plastered on my face, pretending the pain in my legs was just exhaustion. I remember the clatter of a tray, the flicker of lights, then nothing. When I opened my eyes, I was on the cold floor, co-workers hovering, voices blurring around me. Someone was calling my name. Someone else was asking, "Has she eaten today?" I couldn't answer. My body felt like it didn't belong to me. The hospital smelled like bleach and silence. They ran tests, poked, prodded, whispered in corners. And finally, a word. A name I had never heard before. A chronic illness. Unpredictable. Debilitating. No cure. It causes fatigue, memory lapses, nerve pain, the doctor explained gently. It's not just stress. Your body's been screaming for rest for a long time. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because of course my body had given up. It was the only part of me brave enough to. When I told my family, their faces twisted, not with sympathy but with inconvenience. That subtle, uncomfortable shift. They didn't say it out loud, not at first. Instead they offered hollow concern. "Get some rest," my sister said, handing me a list of chores and heading out for her night shift. The kids cried for snacks. She didn't look back. "You'll bounce back," my brother texted casually, from a beach resort I helped him afford last summer. No call. No check-in. Just that. Then came the whispers. At first quiet, muffled through walls and half-closed doors. "She can't even keep a job now. She's gonna end up dragging us all down. We're already struggling, we can't carry her too. Carry me." After all I'd carried, I heard it all. Every single word. And each one landed sharper than the last. Not because they were shouting, but because they didn't even care to hide it anymore. And in that moment something inside me cracked. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet split, the kind that never truly seals again. One morning I woke up to a strange stillness in the house. No clatter in the kitchen. No kids running around. No coffee brewing. Just silence. The kind that wraps around your chest and whispers something's wrong. I pulled myself out of bed, my joints aching, legs heavy, and that's when I saw it. My things packed neatly, lined up by the front door like discarded luggage. At first I thought I was dreaming. I looked around the living room I furnished. The curtains I sewed by hand. The family photos I once clung to for comfort. All gone from the walls. And then they came out one by one. My sister stood with her arms folded, eyes cold. My brother avoided eye contact, scrolling on his phone like this was normal. My uncle sighed like I was the burden in his life. I asked quietly, "What is this?" My sister didn't even flinch. We can't keep doing this. You're not getting better. We can't carry you forever. My house. My name on the deed. And they were throwing me out like I was some rotting piece of furniture. I turned toward the door in disbelief, and that's when I saw it. The locks had been changed. My own keys didn't work anymore. They planned this. Without a word. Without a warning. Not even a goodbye. I stood there barefoot on the porch holding a plastic bag of medicine and a folded blanket, and watched them shut the door in my face. That night I sat in my car. Alone, no heat. No messages. No, "Are you okay?" No, "Where are you?" I stared at my phone. The same phone I once used to call and check on them every day. Now it was just still. Dead silent. The second night was worse. It rained. I used my own clothes to soak up the leak above my seat. My body ached. My chest felt like it was caving in. But I didn't cry. I couldn't. But sometimes when life rips everything away, it's because it's making space for something better. On the third day I was sitting at a bus station wrapped in a donated jacket, pretending I had somewhere to go. That's when I heard a voice say my name. I looked up, and there she was. Miriam, the nurse from the hospital. The only one who ever sat on the edge of my bed and treated me like I was more than a diagnosis. Her eyes searched my face, confused, worried. Then she asked softly, "Why do you look so lost?" And just like that, the dam broke. The words tumbled out. The shame. The betrayal. The pain I hadn't spoken to anyone. She didn't look away. She didn't judge. She didn't offer empty words or forced pity. She reached out, took my hand and said gently, "You're coming home with me." And somehow I believed her. Her family, complete strangers to me, treated me with more kindness in one day than my own blood ever had in years. When Miriam brought me into her home, I expected pity. Awkward silences. That distant politeness people give when they don't know what to do with your pain. I was met with warmth. Her home smelled like stew and fresh laundry. Nothing fancy, but it felt safe. Her husband gave me a nod and handed me a warm plate without asking questions. Her daughter offered me slippers and a folded towel, like I'd always belonged there. No one looked at me like I was fragile, or broken, or too much. They didn't ask for details. They just saw the wear in my eyes and responded with something I hadn't felt in a long time: gentleness. That night, I slept in a small guest room with clean sheets and a lamp that flickered a little. It was quiet. No screaming kids. No slammed doors. No footsteps pacing with anger. Just stillness. And for the first time in months, I didn't wake up gasping in the middle of the night. The next morning I tried to pack my things, what little I had, and thanked them awkwardly. "I don't want to be a burden," I said, voice trembling. Miriam just smiled and placed a mug of tea in my hand. "You already belong here," she said. "We don't let people go just because they're tired." And somehow, that simple sentence did more to rebuild me than all the years I'd spent trying to earn my place in a house that was never really mine. Then I met Elijah, Miriam's son. He was quiet, reserved, the kind of man who didn't fill silence with small talk but made you feel like it was okay not to speak at all. He noticed my cracked laptop sitting in my bag one evening and asked gently, "Want me to take a look?" He didn't ask why the screen was shattered. He didn't ask why my hands shook when I handed it to him. He just fixed it, cleaned it, reinstalled everything. Then he brought it back to me with a small folder on the desktop titled, "Start Here." Inside were job applications, resume templates, a fresh chance. I figured, maybe you'd want to work from home, he said, eyes soft but steady. He didn't pressure me to talk. He never asked about the pain in my eyes. But somehow, he always knew when to be near. He gave me something no one else ever had. Space to heal, to breathe, to feel like a person again. Not a provider, not a patient, not a project. Just me. Months passed. And with each sunrise in that quiet house, I began to feel something I hadn't in years. I got stronger. Not just in body, though my hands stopped trembling and the ache in my bones softened, but in spirit. The fog in my mind began to lift. I could breathe without guilt. I could rest without shame. Some days I still flinched at sudden sounds. Some nights the dreams came back, my siblings' voices cold and careless echoing behind closed doors. But no, I had peace to fight those ghosts. And then one afternoon, on a whim I can't explain, I took a bus ride across town. I passed the bakery we used to walk to on Saturdays, the cracked sidewalk where my niece once scraped her knee, and finally, the street I once called home. I didn't plan to stop, but something made my feet move. When I reached the house, my house, I stopped breathing. The lawn was overgrown, the windows dusty. The curtains hung like forgotten ghosts. The porch light was gone. The mailbox stuffed with unopened letters. And on the front door, an eviction notice. Foreclosed. Abandoned. I stood there in silence. No one came out. No voices. No life. The same place they forced me to leave, locked out, humiliated, was now just a hollow shell of what I'd built. And in that quiet I felt something shift deep in my chest. They hadn't lasted without me. Not because I was holding them back, but because I was the one holding them up. The one paying the bills, solving their chaos, feeding their mouths, keeping their world stitched together when it should have broken. Turns out, the burden they tossed out was the backbone keeping them from falling apart. I didn't cry. I didn't smile either. I just turned and walked away, lighter than I had ever felt before. Now, I work with a charity that helps women start over after the kind of betrayal most people don't talk about. The kind that comes from the ones you once called family. I sit across from women who arrive with nothing but a suitcase and a silence I know too well. Eyes that flicker with guilt for needing help. Voices that crack when they say, "I didn't think it would happen to me." And I don't have to say much. I just listen. Because someone once did that for me when I had nothing left but breath and shame. I haven't spoken to my siblings since that day. Not out of anger. Not out of revenge. But because I finally chose me. My peace. My worth. My life. And choosing myself didn't make me cruel. It made me free. People ask sometimes, how did you survive it all? How do you get back up after being discarded like trash? How do you learn to trust again, after the people who were supposed to love you proved they never really did? I just smile. Because the answer isn't simple. But it's true. Sometimes family is who we're born to. And sometimes it's who finds us when we're at our worst and chooses to stay. And that kind of love, the one you don't have to earn, that's the kind that heals you. That's the kind that saves you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories.